If you're playing your hurdy-gurdy and you're getting weird sounds from some of your buttons, it's very likely that your tangents need to be tuned. Before we get started, you need an electronic tuner, and on our models with the metal tangents, a small Phillips head screwdriver to adjust the tangents. You want to make sure that both your melody strings are in tune open first. Alright, let's begin. If you're playing along, your strings should sound pretty good in tune. But if you get a pulsing from some of the buttons, that indicates that the tangents may be out of tune with each other. And just so we're on the same page, we all know that the tangents are these little bits that are touching the strings when we press the keys. Listen and you'll hear the pulsing on one of these buttons here. And this next one. Hear that pulsing? We're going to fix that. First thing we'll do is just go through one string at a time and make sure that they're in tune. So again, make sure our open string I'm good, and then I'll check the offending button. I'll check the tangent on that. My tuners tell me it's a little sharp, so I'm going to flatten the tangent. I loosen the mounting screw. If I roll the tangent away from the wheel, it'll flatten the note. Towards the wheel will sharpen it. Again, I was sharp, so I just flattened it and I'm good. Let's see how that tunes up. Oh, now my tuners tell me I'm too flat, so we'll go the other way, take another crack at it. I'm doing this upside down, so I was probably misreading my tuner a minute ago. Let's see how this works. Nailed it. You can see my tuner there is blinking a green light. Terrific. Now we'll check the other string. Same process. Tune it open. Then check that one button. It's pretty flat, so same procedure. I'll do it until I get a green light on my tuner here. I'll sharpen my... There we go. Lock it back down. It's better, still not perfect, so I'm going to take another crack at it. As you can see, there's some back and forth here. I'll try not to obscure it with my hand. What I'm doing, I'm loosening the set screw, grabbing the post with my finger, and sliding the tangent. You can see it's pointing sharp now. Great! One last thing before we make our final tuning test. We want to make sure that both tangents are hitting the strings at the same time. If we don't do that, we'll get weird chattering sounds. Now I can see that this one is hitting this string before this one. So I'm going to loosen this and slide it upwards a little bit. Lock it back down. You can go back and forth and adjust them until they're good. I'm good, so now we'll check the tuning of that note together with all the strings on. There we go. No more pulsing. If you're playing a hurdy-gurdy with wooden tangents, the procedure is pretty much the same, except you don't have mounting screws to deal with. You can just grab the tangent and turn it flat or sharp. So you catch a little bit of a break there. If you are playing an instrument with wooden tangents and you're having an issue with one of your tangents being too floppy loose, it's not really going on here, but I'll do this anyway for the sake of example. You could just pull the tangent right out, just wiggle it on out. Rub a little rosin on the stem of the tangent and then put it back in. That should help it be tighter. Before we wrap this video up, I want to spend an extra few minutes talking about these uppermost buttons. They can be a bit trickier when it comes to tuning your tangents. First of all, whenever you're playing up there, a good habit to cultivate is to crank the wheel a little faster. Often tuning problems will be resolved just by cranking the wheel more quickly, even on slow passages of music. I have a couple out of tune buttons, that one and that one. This one seems okay, but this one, you can hear the pulsing. That one's okay, pulsing. We're going to fix that. We can go through the procedure we did just a moment ago with the tuning to get one of them in tune, but then for the second one, I would just loosen it. I've already tuned this one. And then we could just roll it around by hand until it sounds right with this one. I'll try to do it where you can see here on camera. I'm just gonna crank with one hand, and then this finger is just gonna wiggle that tangent to see which way it sounds better, whether I make it sharper or flatter. When I make it a little sharper, it sounds better. So that's what I'm gonna do. Again, I'm taking care to make sure they touch the strings at the same time. And I'm gonna lock that down. Do another test. Again, make sure you're cranking that wheel a little more quickly in these upper buttons for the smoothest sound. Sounds pretty good. One final note on that, you can see I've gone pretty sharp with this one. It's almost bumping up against the other tangent. The tolerances are pretty tight in those upper notes. Let's say it needs to be sharper, but I don't have anywhere to go with it. Well, in that case, I could just flatten the note under it until it lines up with this one. That could take a little back and forth until you get them just right. If your split nut is set up properly, usually you won't have too much trouble with that. So these are kind of what ifs. But again, crank the wheel a little more quickly and you should be fine. One last note on this topic. If you're getting pulsing notes all the way up the scale, you might want to check your cotton. That can also be caused if your cotton is not really sticking to the string. That'll also cause notes to pulse. So if you're getting a whole bunch of problems, make sure your open strings are in tune. Still getting a bunch of problems, check your cotton, and then go through and adjust your tangents one by one if you have to. Good luck.